We shooting live from the hip because these two gentlemen, to me, represent everything that Georgetown basketball is about. So before I get into this, I'd like to just express my sorrow, my gratitude, my condolences to the Duren brothers for you lost a nephew recently, and also the passing of your mother last year. And I just like to, from Hoya Nation, you guys are always heavy on our heart. So with that, I'll just launch into, you guys arrived on the hilltop in '76, but before that, you were running DC basketball at Dunbar High School. Lonnie, you also did a bid at the Georgia military school in Georgia. So if you guys can talk about how that led to the hilltop, show some love for DC on the way, I would appreciate it. Whoever wants to start first, let's jump right in.
Well, my beginning is at Terrell and Walker Jones playing in the rec center. Then, leaving Terrell and going to Dunbar. And I think that's 72. But when I first looked at going to school, it wasn't Georgetown. You might got to turn your thing down. Yeah. I looked at, not going to college really. But in the meantime, I'm from #2 Boys Club, and the relationship with Coach Thompson started at the club. And Mr. Butler and Mr. Wise was his mentor, along with my mentor. And they, work with coaches and fathers, recruiting players in other city, Maryland, wherever they can find a player that they thought were interested in Georgetown and Coach Thompson. But in the 11th grade, Coach Thompson had put an assembly together at Dunbar in the auditorium and announced to the whole, audience and attendance that I was going to Georgetown. This was in the 11th grade, and I would remind you, I was one of the first inner high players he recruited. They came later after I went and graduated and went to a military academy. So people can't figure out how me and Bebe went to school together. That's how we ended up at Georgetown together. And from there, on campus, we just started, the regular campus life, but we'll probably talk more about that and dealing with some type of adverse effects on campus. And people didn't think we belonged there. And we had to prove that we do belong just like anyone else. But after that, I graduated in '80, and then I went on to work at Wonder Bread. For Wonder Bread, I was a DC housing inspector for over 25 years, and I ended up taking it early out. I've been retired since '08, and I was fortunate enough to be president of the Citizen Quarter Board of Cooperative, in which we had settled on doing a redevelopment of their area, and we ended up getting the families vouchers.
Yeah, I'd like to touch on that a little bit more because that was in the book, in Big John's autobiography. So I definitely like to show you some love on that because that was not only important for DC, but I think that's bigger than Georgetown basketball. So I definitely want to touch on that a little bit. John, it's pretty well documented. You were the first, after Al Dutch, you were the first All-American, high school All-American to grace the hilltop. It's pretty well known. Was that a big decision for you? I know Skip Wise and Clemson was on your mind
right
in high school, but what sealed it for you?
Well, I had visited VCU, and I also visited University of Minnesota that had Ray Williams and Michael Thompson, Klay Thompson's dad, and had a good time, but it was just so cold. And then we also visited Villanova, visited Maryland, also visit Howard. But it was pretty much known throughout the city that during the culture of the 70s, Black Power, all that stuff like that, that everybody was leaning, saying to me and Craig, my brother, go up and help a Black man at Georgetown. So that played a big part.
I can't talk to either of you because I was fortunate enough to play in the inner high. And so playing against Dunbar, not only did you have to deal with major talent on the floor, but Joe Dean Davidson was just an incredible force. Can you speak a little bit about Joe Dean and what he meant to you guys?
Joe Dean meant a lot because when I first went to Dunbar, we had Farrell as a coach. So he believed in playing seniors only no matter what. But we had got in a situation where he had to put me and a guy named Emmett Henderson in together. And from then on, the principal had a conversation along with some of the student body about actually, putting us up in the front starting. So we was one of the first set that actually freshmen that started and played a lot. But Joe Dean came in with the mindset of, we had a saying, we wounded them. They falling beneath our heart. They said that rise, arise. I couldn't figure that shit out, but I was saying it. So
could you say it again so I can write that down?
We wounded them. They falling beneath my feet. They shall not rise. So in layman terms, attack the motherfuckers and make sure they don't come back. So my thing is that's the way we laid the foundation. So we as a team played together, hung together, and actually, grew together. But at some point, we ran each other too damn much because we were killing each other in practice. Like we don't know each other. And that mindset led to us to run through the inner high and went 14-0, and we beat everybody until we got. I think we ended up Eastern in the championship game. I think that was at Georgetown. But he had a brain that can just draw stuff up right off the bat. Right? It wasn't nothing you got to sit down and figure it out. And most of the plays he did was simple-minded plays we had to run. So I think too is the people he brought in to play with us that made a part because we got Nance, Craig, Lewis White, and I think it was three of them. That's Nance, Craig, and Lewis, and they came in and they helped out a lot. And you had Steve Dave that can play and Jeff Mitchell. So we had like really a college team in high school. But that's one of the main things was he was a disciplinary man.
Baby, what did Joe Dean?
Oh, okay. All right. I fell asleep with my eyes open. My bad. So actually, the 75 Dunbar team, when I used to be up there with Patrick. Hold on. Shit. You hear me now? Yeah, I used to be up there with Patrick all the time, and Britton and Sir coached Syracuse back in the day and used to scout. So we're in there shooting around one day. I think it's me, it's Oakley, Larry Johnson, Patrick, who was there? Stocks. Well, they had a bunch of guys. And so he come in there, he started talking to me. He turns to those guys, say, hey, this guy's team here. And I thought he was talking about the 76 team. He said, no, I'm talking about your 75 team. He said, that's the best high school team I've seen. You, Stacy, your brother, Craig, and this and that and that. So Patrick, they said, nah, we didn't beat them. He was like, Herb Wynn was there too. He had a good high school team. He said, Herb, Patrick, y'all couldn't have beat that team. He said, that's the best. Really, he said, that's the best high school team I saw. He said, I saw a lot, all y'all, Larry Johnson, all y'all in high school. Y'all team couldn't beat that. He said, Patrick, you didn't have enough ammunition, stuff like he said. So that was really a team top to bottom. Mm-hmm. And, we did a lot of things creative with that team. but going back to #2 Boys Club and things like that with Mr. Jabo, Mr. Wise, Mr. Butler. And a lot of people don't understand the worst thing happened to DC for black men is they got rid of the Police Boys Club. The Police Boys Club raised a lot of guys, kept a lot of guys out of trouble, kept a lot of guys out of prison. They sent guys to school and they just help out. So that's one of the biggest things that happened to black men in DC. One of our downfalls is they got, we had like 14, 15 clubs. I think we only got 2 left. You know what I mean? So, to really help these guys, we gotta have to get the leaders back in the neighborhood, because a lot of the leaders left when they took Police Boys Club out. Because not only these guys was police, they was football coach. You had football, basketball, boxing, track and field. You had all these things that you could do. Now you got to join an AAU team, and that's just for profit, which is already bad. You know what I mean? But when I was at Terrell, my 7th grade year, I played. My 8th and 9th grade year, I didn't play because I don't know what was going on, what was happening, but I never had the grades. I mean, I'll just tell you the truth. So I had a coach Woot, he wouldn't let me play. So one day he comes to me, he said, we're gonna play Dunbar junior varsity team, which was pretty good. I think they was like undefeated or something. So he said, hey man, you want to play? I said, yeah, I want to play. He said, it's the last game, whatever, they're gonna crush us anyway. We want you to play. I said, okay, fine. So we played. I think they beat us like three points or something like that. So next couple of days, somebody tells me that the Dunbar coach, Jody Davis, want to talk to me. Because apparently when they went back up there, they asked him how many points y'all beat Terrell by. And they told him like 4 or 5 points. He was like, 4 or 5 points.
Something going on.
They don't even have a team down there. And so one of the guys said, no, they let Bebe play. Like that. He said, Bebe, who was that? So what did he do? I think I had like 46. Jody talking like that. That needs scored 46 on y'all. Yeah, Bebe, like that. Did it turn out that Bebe like that? Then some dude say, that's Lonnie's little brother. To Jody, he said, Lonnie, that's on the team. That's his little brother. He said, he didn't tell me he had no little brother who scored 46 points. So make a long story short, I remember Sweet Slim say one day I was over the boys club. He said, let's walk over to Dunbar because Jody was on the field. I don't know what they was doing because Jody made you run a lot. You had to do a lot of road work with Jody because we ran the steps, we ran the field, we ran hundreds. We talking in the 70s. The stuff they doing now, we was doing in the 70s at high school. So make a long story short, I go up there and talk to him. So he said, where you going to school? At that time, I was thinking about Mackin and St. Anthony because of Coach Thompson and Bob Griggs, but he's at Georgetown by now. So you figure St. Anthony's then rolled over to Georgetown like they was doing everybody. So make a long story short. So Jody says to me, he says, why you want to do that? I said, why not? I said, y'all don't even have a good team. He said, we're going to have a good team if you come. I said, he said, yeah. He said, they good if you good as they say you are. I like your hair up here like that. But the most important thing, he said, why you want to help their community? Won't you help your own community? So he threw that in the game. He said, if you come, all them other guys that's playing with you at #2 at Terrell, and they're going to come. I was like, really? He said, yeah. He said, yeah, won't you come up here? Why help the Catholic schools? They got enough guys. Come to Dunbar and help us. And then I remember one night, Sweet Slim, like Emmett Hemmings, was the first guy I actually seen that really work on his game. This guy would be on the playground running suicides, push-ups, sit-ups, getting shots in and stuff like that. And I used to go up there. And at this point, I don't really know Sweet Slim. We're not playing together. But I used to go up there and watch him, like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night when I'm shooting around. He'd be on the other court doing all these drills. You know what I mean? And I was like, wow. Then he ended up going to Dunbar too, him and Lonnie. And it's like they really started putting it together. Because now I'm there. Now I think our first year we won 19 or something. That was the first year that they went to the playoffs. And then from there, it just bloomed and blossomed.
Yeah. Lonnie, what Bay just described is what I experienced when I got to McKinley Tech. We were playing against the Ghost, and plus that talent was there as well. Did that make Georgetown an easier transition? Because that road work and all that extra, we all experienced that at Georgetown with Big John. Was that an easier transition going to Georgetown?
Let me start out by saying I ain't like practice. I didn't like practicing. I had to just work myself into game shape. But the transition went hard. Like I said, when I went to military school, that was really, to me, like a boot camp in regards to getting me prepared to go to college, because I wasn't really used to dealing with white people at the time. I was mostly inner city strength, and the thing which I told you why I wasn't getting on your show, and that I don't have time for explaining to people what I used to do. And the thing too is that a lot of people assume what you do, how you do it, because you're a ball player. They don't look at it as your capability of thinking and understanding and compromising. Non-compromising, being humble, and the things that go with being a ball player. But sometimes people think your game ain't shit, but you know your game is good. But that's just a way of somebody putting somebody over top of one another. So that's one of the things I looked at when I went to military school, and I was, planning on going to Georgetown. And then I found out I was getting offers that wasn't being given to me, that they was being blocked. So that even made me more cockier in dealing with the coach, letting know that somebody else wanted my butt too.
More cockier than you are now?
Yeah,
I don't think that's possible.
Well, I'm gonna plead the fifth on that. Man, we say we can plead the fifth and shit, but I'm gonna plead the fifth. But that was one of the main things. But what I want to say too is go back in regards to going to Georgetown. I can't say without mentioning Felix, Gary Wilson, Merlin Wilson, Larry Long, and Jonathan Smith. See, if I would have left at 75, that's who I would have been in my freshman class with, some of those guys. And the relationship and the foundation they built was already there. So what we did is put the question mark and set that shit on the side. And we worked, because remember, we used to always have a thing with Catholic players, people from Catholic school. That's the way I was saying, Jodine instilled in us that they was mama little boys. They had everything, steak and potatoes while we eating fucking fucking days and shit. So my thing was that once we got there, they was just like us, except, they might live in a different area with a better zip code, but we ended up putting all that together, man. I want to say thank you to them guys. And I also want to thank you to the players that we played with. And, you can't sit and name everybody. But in my year, that was like Steve Martin, Dirk Jackson, Craig Estridge, Dirk McDermott. Yeah. And them guys, man, had the thing in which they was really programmed into the academic part. So that's the stuff that you sit there and you learn in regards of people's temperament and how they do as a player and as an individual on top of campus. And I also want to thank my white team, Don Earl, Bullis, Dave Blue, Kirk Hall. That's one hell of a white team. You didn't get along with the blue team.
Just so people know, the white team was the second team. I was on the white team too.
Yeah, but the white team
was white.
Caught more hell than the blue team. So those guys I just named, when there's no disrespect to nobody, those some hardcore white boys. They weren't always hardcore, but once they came in there, and started dealing with our crazy ass, they used to buck on me. And ain't too many motherfuckers buck on me in my day.
So I know, Lonnie, you say you don't want to talk about the past. You kind of want to, do it as it relates to the future, right? As it relates to current day.
Yeah.
But for me, when I was, obviously when you guys decided you were coming on, after Bebe went on the Hoya Hoya hoop club joint, and I was like, okay, I got to get you now. When I go back and look, so Big John get there, they 3-23 the year before. The year before y'all got there, they went to the ECAC, what was it? ECAC South Championships, lost in NCAA in the first round. Meanwhile, Dunbar was ranked #1 in the nation. They get y'all come through there. Your first year, y'all go to the NIT, right?
Yeah.
Second year, Bebe loses his mind and leads the team in scoring, points, rebounds, assists, yada, yada, yada. You said there was a culture there, and it was, it was mostly private school or Catholic school. Y'all brought that in the high joint. I get there in 79, 80. It was in a high joint. I mean, there was sayings, 40 minutes hard, ice cream, the bench. If you were on the bench, you acted like you were playing. So that was instilled by you guys. When did you know? Because you kicked in the door in 80 when you got to the Elite 8. When did you know, okay, we got something here? We building something here that's bigger than, I think, what anybody thought. I think it was bigger than what Big John thought. You can speak on that.
To be honest, we always was winners coming out of high school, and even in our days in the club league, we won never, well, we were so-called losing. But one of the things that you got to remember, if you don't know how to win, and one is the difference when you lose, or you get complacent to losing. Most of the coaches we had was winning coaches. So that has a lot to do with it. Then you got a mindset of the people you put together as far as building that relationship and be winners. And I want to say this, most of the people I played was the leaders from the beginning. Ain't none of them followers. So that way, you being honest with yourself as far as people working, and actually when we match up and team up, it ain't nobody being soft with one another or trying to cut people short. But I'm gonna take you back to one game. Let me just explain some shit while I get started. I really ain't never get in the fucking game. So I'm gonna put that out there. So
but I'm gonna stop you for a second. You're gonna pause for a second.
Go ahead.
You maybe never got in the game, but you were part of the culture and because when I got there, if you were sitting on the bench and you wasn't in the game, motherfuckers talk to you about Lonnie Duren. If you were in practice and you weren't busting people's ass on the blue team, people talk to you about how Sleepy Floyd used to go up to the dorm in Harbin complaining about Lonnie putting black and blue marks on him. So I'm just going, you can say you weren't in the game, but you was the only cat that was soaking through his uniform on the bench. You were the only cat that when I talked to players from that era, man, who was that motherfucker on the bench that didn't play talking all that shit? So, I'm not gonna let you get off that easy, dog. So I understand humility, but you put something in that culture that came through me. And if anything, I hope it's still on the hilltop. And that's something I wanted to ask you guys, later on in the convo.
Yeah, but one thing too is you gotta look at my freshman and sophomore year, I tore my ligaments in both my ankles. And they told me I'd never be able to run again. So that conversation was like between me and the coach. And one thing he told me that, stuck with me is more than basketball, that he don't want to see me walk around, which I'm limping like shit now, to be honest.
I'm limping too.
But he want me to make sure that I get the best I can get and get a degree and use that. And that's one thing too. Like in practices, if we didn't give it all to each other, I don't think we would have never got to where we got to. But we didn't look at it as building a dynasty and all the stuff that people talk about. We looked at playing together. And one thing people might not understood is that if we didn't work their ass, they wouldn't have got us better to go out. And that's one thing used to make me real messed up is that they go out, win the game, then their ass come back like they all that. So that make me fuck them up more in practice. Because every time the starters get all the publicity, coach don't want them to do this. I ain't pay that shit no mind. If I didn't try to bust their ass every day, even baby, I bust his ass one day. I'm gonna tell this story. I can let one of them out the bag. I took a vacation for a minute from the team. So we was getting ready to play Maryland, right? So the coach sent the assistant coach up to get me from the dorm so I can come back to practice and be a damn cheerleader. All right. So I went out and started practicing. And so baby was coming to me and like he was got kind of big head. And so he was coming down court and I was going up to meet him, try to block him off. So he called himself dipping his shoulder.
Yeah, he told me how to dip my shoulder too.
My fat ass went a little dipping in him and raised up and knocked his ass out. So the coach said, he ain't bring me back here to knock the fucking players out on my same team. That's what you supposed to be doing with the other team. But that comes from them got cocky and to show them too that we human. And I used to always say, man, get a lead so I can get in the game when we get in the huddle.
That's what they said.
Man, we need to get a motherfucking lead so I can get in here. I never got in the motherfucker. It's just something I started saying too. So, let me take you back. We was playing our owner, right? And they was whooping the shit out of us. And I was talking so much shit, right? So the guy, I think his name was Covenant or Cunningham or something, he was dunking on Craig, pushing him around. So I was cussing Craig ass out along with cussing him out. So I got to talking about this guy's mother, man. I don't know what I hit. You know how the official take the ball out on the side by the bench? That motherfucker was trying to kick me. And they couldn't figure out what he was trying to do because he was trying to take the ball but instead of kick me. But then coach found out, right? He was saying, whatever you doing to that motherfucker, keep it up. So we ended up beating their ass, man. I only had a nice team then. But that's some of the stuff that you're speaking of. And I used to sit in the front of the bench and I couldn't figure out why they kept putting me there. You know, because I catch a dude coming and most of the action is always in the center. So you got to come by me one way or the other. Sitting down on the end of the bench, could never get the guys when they come in the corner only. But see, that's I say the stuff that coach was doing. If you didn't pay it no mind, some of his mind games as far as keeping the players together and all of that. So my thing was, I was young, but I was like that anyway. But that's part of the camaraderie. When you had guys on the bench and everybody cheering and following and working, then somebody sitting on their bench and bitching about because they ain't getting in the game. So that's what's one of the things, though, man.
John, I want to go back to when you were talking about the boys club, number 2 boys club, the fact that we don't have boys club in the area anymore or in the city. But I want to ask about Wiseman, Jabbo Kenner, like those individuals and what they meant to the program and what they meant to you.
Well, it's really these guys is what they meant to the city.
The city, correct.
I mean, these guys, I remember sitting around when I was 8, 9, 10 years old, and the police officers still are taking guys to jail. They would bring them to number 2 boys club and bring them to Mr. Wise, Mr. Butler, and Mr. Jabbo at the time and say, this kid was stealing and he was doing this and that and that. Mr. Jabbo, I didn't want to take him to jail now, this and that and that. And they bring him back and give him some chances and say things like, If I catch him again, let him know I got to lock him up. But right now, I know his number 2 guy. He's one of y'all guys. Seems like a good guy. You know, I watch him play baseball, this and that and that. So right away, you had that community because a lot of those police officers also worked in the community and sometimes walked the beat. And so you had this relationship all through the city. I mean, Southeast can call Southwest, Southwest can call Northwest. It was such a family, and everybody pretty much knew everybody. All the boys club guys knew all the guys. They knew the drug dealers, they knew the pimps, and everybody would, pretty much, come there. Number 2 Boys Club, it meant so much. When I look at Berry Farms, outdoors, that used to be on 3rd and K, the 3rd Street Tunnel, the basketball court used to sit there. And when I was young, we used to watch all the games, just like they do over during the summer. I saw Austin Carr, I saw Donald Washington play, I saw Coach Thompson would play, all these guys would play, and that's what everybody would meet, just like guys sitting on the fence and the whole thing. That was one of the things before the 68 riots came. After the 68 riots, a lot of that stuff burned down, and it changed the whole dynamics of DC and the community. But Lonnie was pretty much my age. My other brother Eddie was older, and we used to watch him play all the time. And quiet as it kept, I don't know what Lonnie was doing, but Eddie is the one that used to always take me to the court and we'd play and this and that, because he was 5-6 years older and was a real good player. So I remember we might have played 500 games, right? We might have played 500 games. And I'm gonna tell you, I might have won one. And he never took no mercy. He didn't care. He wouldn't let me win at all. So after that, person I would go work out because I wanted to beat Eddie, and at the time, Eddie was like a LeBron James type among his age group, because everything was 10 and under, 12 and under, 14 and under, 16 and under, 18 and under. And in his age group, he was the guy. You understand what I'm saying? And trying to beat him, and he set that bar real high. And then I just started working on my game, but I still never beat him. But by the time I got to high school, he didn't play me no more.
He's smart. Where did Bebe come from?
My game is so nice, my mama had to name me twice. That's why they called me Bebe. I was making a move, and somebody said, "Oh, Bebe." And I made another move, Bebe. So my mother Edie said, "Oh, that's Bebe." Now calling you that. Now my mother gave me that name.
Okay.
But you like that, huh?
Yeah,
Babe. Oh, babe. Oh, babe. So it's called Babe.
You had me going for a minute. I mean, I think Lonnie done heard that shit before, because he didn't budge.
Huh?
I'm gonna pause right here just to let both of you know, and I think you already know, how much I respect and how much love I have for both of you. Because I think you made my Georgetown experience make sense, and you made it complete.
Right.
But
let me tell y'all this, right? When you talk about Jodine Davis and you talk about Black coaches, a lot of people don't understand that conversation started at number 2 Boys Club. Mr. Jabo, Mr. Wise, Jodine, and Big John. When you came in number 2 Boys Club, they used to always sit in the corner and talk all the time. And by the time Craig got there, they would close the Boys Club, and me and Craig would shoot and work out in the corners, on the court, while those guys was in the corner talking the Black stuff. Okay, we talking about trying to get Black coaches from Black schools to start going over into D1 schools on the white schools and get coaching jobs to get what they need to have. And when we got to Georgetown, you also got to understand those 2 years we played in the NCAA, in the NIT, we supposed to be in the NCAA. You got to understand the culture back then. When we went to certain gyms, we was already 10, 15 down before we walked in the door.
Is that where the saying "we play to beat the cheat" came from?
That's where Big John started saying, "No, come on, son, we got." You notice we never looked at referees or made any arguments. We would wipe the floor because the time in the seconds, you already know what's going on. So why are you looking at that referee? You know he calling against you. So we call beat the cheat. And our attitude, we 10, 15 points down going in the gym. That was the culture back then. And I'm quite sure we lost 10 games, we probably lost 3. The rest of them they took. You know what I mean? But the beautiful thing was, and I don't know if I remember this, a lot of times when we went south and we stayed in the hotels, most of the maids and the custodians, everybody was pretty much black. So there was times that we would go to certain hotels and certain airports and stuff like that. When they saw us coming first, Big John always walked in front. So they see him and they say, "Wow, that's a big dude." That's the big guy. Then you see all the other blacks coming behind. And you figure the 70s, they really don't. They say, "Man, what y'all do?" I said, "Basketball team." "Who y'all?" I remember going to play Virginia Tech. "Y'all playing Virginia Tech?" "Yeah, okay, cool." Like that. So the black guys in the hotel and stuff like that said, "Oh, they got a good team, this and that." One guy said, "Oh man, y'all gonna beat them. They ain't all that good. They ain't all that good." They were like that.
You good?
You see me?
Yeah.
He said they not that good. But I noted in a lot of the hotels and the airports when we went south, when we beat Dayton and we beat Virginia Tech, we beat Virginia. They was very happy that next morning, serving food and all that stuff. "Yeah, it's a good morning this morning." Yeah. Yeah. They was like super, super happy. And then they were like, "Oh, where y'all from?" "DC. Chocolate City, huh? Chocolate City." And a lot of people used to give us love, especially on the black side of people. They really, really would support us and be nice to us, things like that. And that was a learning experience within itself. But like I said, a lot of times, man, they was just cheating. They were cheating on us like it's crazy. I mean, we played Indiana, and we almost beat them. They was ranked number 1.
I remember that game. Big Sky went 11 for 11 or something.
Yeah, 11 for 11 went up, and I remember Sleepy hitting the jumper, and the ref called 3 seconds, and Craig was outside of 3 seconds, and the guy said 3 seconds on you. Craig's like, he looking down at his feet. "What? Oh, you was in there, man. That's 3 seconds. Ball going the other way." Oh man, they used to do a lot of cheating.
So, baby, think I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say because
What you?
what I was gonna say is my respect, the love I have for you too, is huge. And again, the fact that I have you two on to just talk, reminisce a little bit, and share with one another means a lot. It means a lot to me personally. And I just want to thank you both. We had about 40 minutes. So if you want to jump off now, we can jump off now. We can keep going. I'll leave that up to you.
You good?
You good? Okay.
I told you there's only one time, so get the best of it.
Anything else y'all need to know? But look, I'll tell you this story that Jodine played such a major part because at one time, for about 5 years, Jodine and Big John was stuck together as one.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Stuck together as one because part of it, you got to understand, Mr. Wise, Mr. Jabo, and all those guys would come to all our high school games and all that stuff. And so, we didn't have a gym. A lot of Dunbar didn't have a gym. We never played. We won national championship, never played a home game. We didn't have a gym. So our gym pretty much was number 2 boys club.
Well, my junior year at Tech, my junior and part of my senior year at Tech, we practiced at number 2 boys club.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So many number 2 boys clubs been that pillar for so many people.
Yeah.
So my 10th grade year, Lonnie played the one, I played the 2. Then we got Stacy. So Jodine came to me and said, "Well, look, I'm gonna put you at the 4. Now, I ain't but 6 feet tall.
You at the 4.
I'm playing 4. Right. So Lonnie at the 1, Stacy at the 2, Joe Tweet was at the 3. I was the 4. Craig was the 5. Okay, cool, no problem. To make a long story, so that Stacy and Lonnie and Sweet Slim. And Sweet Slim was top guard too, super fast, athletic, you know, hell of a player. I mean, I said we had hell of a player. Everybody could play defense, everybody. So Jodine comes to me and says, I'm gonna put you at point guard. And I was like, point guard? He said, yeah, I'm gonna put you at point. I said, all right, if you want to do it like that. He said, no, you can play point, man. He said, I know you can do it. So, make a long story short, the first game, everybody knew that Lonnie had left and they knew Stacy had left. So they thought we was pretty vulnerable, pretty weak. We brung in Bo Holston, but they were still saying, Bo is okay, freshman, like that, okay. But so he said, I'm gonna put you at the point guard. So when they put me at the point guard, I remember the first game at Jello. We play up Jello. I don't know who we played, but I played so good. In the car coming home, he looked at me, he said, man, you're gonna be a first round draft choice. I said, really? He said, yeah. He said, by the end of the year, you'll be all American. And it came true. So I went up 5 stars and played the point. Got in one of the coaches up there. He said, man, I don't know how you get the passes through there. He said, it'll be a crowd and you putting that thing on the line, getting it in there. How you doing that? I was like, hey, man, maybe it's natural. I've only been playing point guard about 4 weeks. He said, 4 weeks? I was like, yeah. But I had to learn the other part. The physical was there. You know, the mental part, to understand, offenses, being able to read defenses, offenses, putting your pride to the side and make sure other guys can rise to play at their level and things like that, and being the middle guy from the player to the coach. A lot of people don't talk about that. The coach got his problem with the player got his problem with the coach. So therefore, when you hear from the coach and you hear from him, some way you got to find out, okay, what I need to say to both of them. Now I'm lying to both of them. I'm gonna tell the coach what he want to hear, and I'm gonna tell the player what he want to hear. And you learn that.
But you're the coach on the floor.
Right. And a lot of times, a lot of times they got pictures with me and Coach Thompson. Like, so a lot of times he would always tell me certain games. He said, "What you see out there?" And I said, "Huh?" He said, "What you see out there?" And I'm looking and say, "Ain't you run out there? I'm not out there. You out there? What you see?" And then, and I said, okay, I see this, I see that. I see this guy's moving a little slow right there. Then I learned how to tell the guy, all right, when you come out, man, when he pops out, that guy staying back in, just turn and cut right in front of Craig, and I'll drop it to you. And then we start doing it, and then you start building that, okay, you see what's happening with Sleepy, you're too deep down there. When I come, just slide up a little bit. I'm gonna drop it behind my back to you. Stuff like that. You just learning that from, just playing, and then next thing you know, because it's a mental game that you got to know zone, if they trapping in the corners or they trapping their pop. That's the point guard. You got to figure all that stuff. So the whole time you're still thinking, so you learn how to think on the run and still be relaxed.
Lonnie.
Yes.
How you doing, man?
I'm okay.
How long you had that mustache like that, man?
Shit, I had mustache in the fucking 9th grade.
Coach Thompson talked about you a lot in the book. He spoke pretty highly of you. And you're a permanent fixture behind the bench at most of the Hoya games. And I want to thank you for still being a part of the program the way that you are. You're on a lot of the University Hoya Hoop Club calls and all that stuff. I want to thank you for that because, again, you two for me are the example. You two to me are I think every player that comes through Georgetown should be hearing these stories on some level. With that being said, can you talk a little bit about some of the things that Coach spoke about in the book? Particularly what you mentioned earlier about the housing project and how you and Felix worked on that. And then any other things that you want to talk about in relationship to the program and where you sit now.
Yeah, one thing I want, person I miss is Ron Blaylock.
Spike.
Call him
Spike.
Dry Mouth
Tom Skate.
and Tom Skates
Big Tom Skates.
and Ed Spriggs. You know, shout out to them too.
Yes, sir.
Smitty, Hancock, shout out to all of them. There's several things he mentioned in the book. Some of it I never think would be known, but since it's in the book, it's public knowledge.
Yes, sir. Something
he
you
was-
probably would never talked about.
Yes, to be honest.
Yeah.
One of them was like when the guy, we had played somewhere and Big Skates had got timid and he let him know in front of everybody that he really sucked it up. And I forgot who we lost to. So the next game we was playing GW and the guy Simpson hopped on skates and started hitting them and, you know, starting to fight. But he made the mistake of running by our bench. So he was running, you know how you run a lap and run around the court? Instead of him going back and go around to come to his side with a team at, he wanted to run through where we at and go through. So while everybody, you know, jumping up and stuff, he just ran within my arm reach and I hit him. I hit him good.
Left hand or right hand?
It didn't matter, both of them hurt you. But he took and ran back around the way he should have went at first, but couldn't figure out why his ass was running faster at that point and getting to the bench. So somebody said something to the coach, right? So the coach came over there fussing and cussing and shit. So I was saying to myself, why the fuck you cussing out in front of all these people? So he was saying, no, good hit. He told me good hit, knocked the shit out of him, right? Then he went back into a little John Thompson. I ain't never figured this shit out, but end of the day, we was just in practice talking about protecting our family and you know, teammates and people around you. So all that went coincide. But one of the things people might not gonna like what I'm gonna say to them, as a university, and we're on Zoom calls and guys that never met each other and don't know one another, only do Zoom, and which every one of them players, alumni at Georgetown have a story. All their stories are similar but different. And the thing too is that we had appreciation day one day at one of the games. And I was talking to some of the players that, you know, doing better than the others. So I mentioned to them, we don't have nobody to reach out. If it is, it's somebody already a means. And my thing is that all of us is still one family. So I was fortunate enough to get to be the president of Central Quarter, as I mentioned earlier. So what I did, I reached back and went to Felix Yeoman and asked him to assist me in helping me to do what we need to do to sell the property and get the families whatever they can get out of it. So Big John, I went to the coach and let him know that I was getting this position and what it entailed. But the thing that I just want to express to these guys that really don't know, if somebody is in need or might need something, don't be too bashful not to reach out and help them if you're in a position to help them. If you ain't in a position to help them, then you should not be scared to put that out too. But don't do it in a way where you look like you asking for something. Every one of them got degrees, they got something to offer, but you never know if you don't put it out there. And that's one thing the coach had mentioned to me at the end of the day, that I went back and reached to player and brought somebody with me. I didn't do it alone. Like some people can go get the so-called advisor managers that don't have no damn relationship with nobody. They established a relationship. That's why I wanted to say to the alumni is that you don't know what the needs are until you get somebody a shot. Because like Phyllis and Nana opened up their own company, 360, and dealing with helping to fix units and to reestablished, HUD units. And he also brought a gentleman on named Dallas Evans, in which he is just like a father figure, brother figure to me, and to help us put certain court in the position that we was put in. See, one thing we did is that we had a project in which we ended up selling, and each and every family have a right to come back. We have a covenant that governs them until they say, hey, and I don't want to come back and give up their first right of refusal. That shit don't happen in DC, what we did. You can go look it up, try to find it. You're not gonna find it because people was thinking that we was public housing. We was a co-op and we was privately owned. We was one of the only Black co-op in the United States. It was one more, I think, in Cleveland or Detroit. And that's, and at the time that was unheard of. But to look at where we at and what we doing and the things we now as talking about getting together, putting alumni together to do all these things, we need to make sure we helping the people that's on that Zoom call that really need some type of strength. It ain't always gotta be monetary. You never know what somebody might need and how we can address it. So that's what was in the book. And he used to invite me over the house to the playoffs and all that. Y'all might not remember, we had like a 100-year anniversary, and people didn't know me and the coach was that close. So when he said, yeah, Lonnie came over the house, you should have seen how many players were giving me the finger.
And Michael Graham.
And Michael Graham, because they didn't realize how we closed. And Michael left there, but Michael used to come over too. And that's the thing that you're talking about, in relationships.
They mentioned when Woody helped you with certain quarter stuff.
Yeah. And, I have a guy, everybody know Woody. Woody reached out and helped me to get where I got to be honest. Because he was my lawyer.
Woody Johnson was a cheerleader at Georgetown.
Yeah. And that's the stuff that you might be speaking of. There's a lot more.
Woody Johnson.
Yeah. Huh?
Woody Johnson.
Yeah, Woody Johnson.
Nobody know Woody like that. You gotta say the whole name. Woody Johnson.
Woody Johnson.
Yeah. See, it's good to have
Hey,
you.
it ain't like Kobe, you know what I mean? Or Jordan, one name, or Magic.
Baby, you talking to us?
It's you can't just say Bay, you gotta say Bay. And you better put the Duren with it. Because if it's just Bay, it's a lot of Bays. So say Bay Duren. Okay, cool.
Hey, Gene, that's the best part of having the right across from you. Hey, this is Divine, this is man, whatever the fuck he want when he get ready. But
so
my thing, man, that we don't came a long way. And let me say this about the university. This is one thing the coach, told me, that you don't owe them nothing, they don't owe you nothing. Because he was mentioned in regards to the scholarship that you got to go there. So it's like a give and take and what we make out of it. And I'm gonna say this, and like I said before, no disrespect to nobody. I didn't go to Georgetown with a fantasy mind. What I mean by that, I wasn't going there expecting them to do shit and I'm gonna live and a life of luxury and all that, knowing that I came from the inner city. I know my needs was back in the inner city. Regardless if I played or didn't play, I always had something to offer. And that's the whole concept that, people go to college and they get stuck with that life and don't have shit to show for it. But if you see them, look like they got everything going for them. So I never looked at Georgetown as gonna have me different once I go there, because I used to sneak and go home every day. They used to meet me on New Jersey and P with the station wagon because I don't snuck off campus. Every day they put an article about, man, baby, catching the G2 to go home. Because they go look for us. That dorm is just a dorm room and ain't nobody in that motherfucker.
So is that where Hancock got it from?
Yeah, I don't got it from. So like I was saying, man, you can get a false conception if you really don't know what you want. And I always had a mindset of what I wanted, and that's one of the things too with the younger guys. They can't get big headed, arrogant in regards to dealing with us, because this is a different era. The coach is gone, Pat is in charge, so we should have a relationship with all of them, the coaches, the non-coaches, and not forget to how we got here. Because they keep talking about Pat in them years, but they got to remember, we was the first with everything. We was the first Big East champions. We was the first to do whatever you want to say, winning. And we was recruiting Pat back in the time that we was there. Look how many times you look up that we played in Boston, or Massachusetts. We was playing Boston University, Holy Cross, Boston College. I couldn't think, but like we was from Providence fucking with that shit, because we was always there one way or another.
All right.
Yeah.
Bay. I got to unmute Bay.
And that's one thing too. And yeah, that's one thing too, is that even in the era when all this shit was going on with the drugs and all of that, Georgetown was their relief, man. Look how many coats they sold with whatever it is, starter jackets, sweatsuits, and people going out buying that stuff, man, because they supporting us. It wasn't a university. It was Georgetown Basketball. And then you got to look at the money that we used to bring to the university. That we opened the doors up to some of the players. How you think they going to grad school and getting these law degrees? Craig Esters, I think, was the first grad school person. But that came from money that Big John them and put in the program to get assistant coaches and to do stuff. That came from money that we actually were doing and winning that brought the money. Yeah, we the ones set the TV deal with Channel 5 back then. Everything was on TV. Even a game that you know you were gonna blow their ass out. They still put it on TV.
Bebe, can you unmute? Unmute, Bebe. I can't unmute you.
Hold on.
There you go.
Hello?
Yeah, so Lonnie mentioned Blaylock.
Hello?
Hello, hello.
Hello?
Lonnie mentioned Blaylock.
Hello?
Can you hear me? So Lonnie mentioned Blaylock.
I'm just this shit like being on a spaceship. Hello? Hello? you don't know if you're in a spaceship or a crack house. Hello? Hello? All right, go ahead. Let me stop.
That's hilarious. So Lottie mentioned Blaylock, Smitty, that 78-79 team.
Right.
All were 24-5.
Right.
Went to the NCAA, lost to Rutgers.
Right.
That was 6 freshmen.
Right.
Then that following year was 80 when y'all kicked in the door.
Right.
What changed? Because 6 freshmen is coming in, you still won 24 games.
Well, I guess the only one, Blaylock and Sleepy was the only one from there. You had Ed Spriggs,
right?
Hancock,
Smitty,
Eric Smith, and who else was it?
And it was Blaylock and Sleep.
Blaylock and Sleepy. So I think.
But also, I want you to touch on Al Dutch coming back that year.
Yeah, Al Dutch came back. I mean, when they all came back, so you had 6 guys come back, and 4 was from the DMV. You had Eric, Sleepy, you had Al Dutch, who was a Street Smith All-American and stuff like that. Had some run-ins with Big John, but they put their differences aside, and Al came back and really helped us. But it really allowed us to really step our game up defensively, because it was a big thing. Craig used to be on the ball on the 1-3-1 traps, and our whole thing a lot
55,
of times,
55,
huh?
55.
Yeah, 55, double fist, 55. Yeah. So Hancock being 6'6", but long arms like he's 7 foot tall, being on the ball, and Craig now of being able to play the middle that runs side to side from baseline, from sideline to sideline, really, really helped us because Sleepy was long, I was strong, and that defensive 1-3-1 trap took a whole different level, and guys just wasn't ready for it. You got a guy 6'7" coming over with 7-foot wingspans, coming over like Hancock to set the trap.
And not like Hancock. Hancock didn't like that press. Let's keep it a beam.
Yeah. He said was too much running. But hey, they did not want to see Mike Hancock on that trap. So when the guy passed it in, and most of the guys was 6 feet, 6'1", you got a guy 6'7" with a long wingspan and Sleepy on the other side. It didn't matter what side the guy went to. Sleepy had an inch on me, but he was long. They didn't want to come to my side because I was physical.
Who played the Steeler?
Craig Shelton, who was the fastest on the team.
Wow.
Craig was a Steeler. And wasn't really the fastest on the team. Craig, no, he never lost a sprint when he was there. You know, people don't know Craig ran about a 4.2, 4.3, something like that. But when they put Craig in the middle, and because Craig used to be on the ball, and now he the Steeler. And you know, he going side to side. But most guys couldn't see because Hancock was coming over on the full court trap, and they know they couldn't pass it back through Hancock. So they had to pass it through me or Sleepy to get it in. And then, you know, a lot of people never figured out the trap. And then we was the first one that turned around. Well, we did it in high school. That's when Coach Davis and Jodine, Coach Jodine and Big John was putting their minds together. And we was the first one that was faced at Dunbar, and we did it at Georgetown. They said, well, turn around and face the guy.
That was my shit.
And so the man on the ball, Hancock, would turn around, and whoever would beat the guy, he would pick that guy up. So we were doing so much stuff defensively full court that guys couldn't really figure out, that it made us super successful because it took them years. And then I was telling somebody we would step in, run the passing game, and we would run to guys without touching them and just run in front of them, and then they would stop and get all confused. Like, yo, that's the moving pick. And Big John said, how's it gonna be a pick? Sometimes they say, I'm moving pick. Coach Thomas said, how's that a pick if you don't catch him? And they would look at Coach Thomas and say, huh? Well, did he catch him? No. So how's it a moving pick?
Right.
He said, yeah, I guess you're right. Take it out on the side. So we did a lot of new things. And I mean, even when I was in the pros, the funny thing, some of the coaches would ask me, how did y'all do that? How, you know, who thought of that? Who did that? How did that really work? You know, how we did the trap on the pick and roll. He said sometimes y'all would trap and other times y'all wouldn't trap. We would just trap in the corners. If you notice, we were the first one, when the ball goes to the corner, we the first one would start trapping. Nobody else was trapping. So guys would get it in the corner and we come trapping. They'd be like, y'all trapping? Like that. Then other time we run the same play. And what was really great was the point. That was a hell of a defense. And sometime out of the 1-3-1, we never trap. We do the passing lane. So as a point guard, you got to be able to figure all that out. You have to mix it up. If you don't mix it up, a guy will just keep doing the same thing. We mixed it up. We mixed it up a lot. And the double high might be the greatest star of all time. But I mean, really, you get, you had a white team and the blue team, and one of them team flip a coin, and whatever team get the ball, white team was Lonnie get the ball. We on defense for 30 minutes. If we get it, they on defense for 30 minutes because you couldn't stop the double high. It was almost impossible. It was impossible. So we had great things, but our biggest thing was defense. We really laid it down full court. And guys just wasn't we did a lot of fouling. And guys, they just really wasn't. So that's when y'all got there and they call y'all thugs. Them thugs. They be beating people up like that. I forgot who we was playing. So we was playing somebody in the South, and they was really cheating. And Coach Thompson told us get a little bit more physical. Right? He said, "Hey, y'all get a little bit more physical." Okay, cool. We start fouling. So the guy ref went over to Coach Thompson and said, "Hey, Coach, calm it down, calm it down." Big John, exact word. He said, "Calm it down. You motherfuckers don't stop calling this shit right. There's gonna be a fight in this motherfucker." That's true. He said, "Y'all stop calling this shit right. It's gonna be fighting in this." Cause we were physical, and Jonathan Smith and Merlin Wilson and those guys. When I used to go watch them play, I think they fought every game.
So that's where it came.
The boys clubs in the neighborhood would bring people up to Georgetown games, number 2, number 10, number 11. They would bring us up to the game, and we would watch these guys. I mean, I'm 13, 14 years old. We go watch the game, and I believe every game I think they was fighting. Anytime they played George Washington, Holy Cross, and American University, there was a fight.
Did you know y'all were going to be that good in 79, 80?
Yeah. By that time, me personally, I was going to like the All-Star game. I went to ECAC All-Star. I was going to the camps, and I also played in the Pan American games. So I already knew the talent and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I knew us as a team, everybody was on the same, because we all from the DMV, so we pretty much was playing the same way. You know, we come from the playground, and what they don't do now, back in the day on the playground, if the game is 12 and the score 11-11, that's when everybody huddles and says no layups. Make everybody earn what they get. No easy shots. And then people snatch you out the air, they undercut you, and then that's when they say, "Hey, look, everybody D up. Don't help nobody. Just get your man." I got my man. You get your man. Nobody help him. And don't let them make a layup. You had to make a hell of a shot. And I mean, we had war top to bottom in DC on these playgrounds. And that's one of the things the kids are missing. They don't ever get to really, that's why one of the reasons they probably don't play defense like they used to. Now, back then, you had to be up on them playgrounds, because if you didn't, those other 4 guys, you had a problem.
You had a problem.
You had a problem.
Lonnie, can you hear me, Lonnie?
I can hear you.
You still there? You got your eyes closed?
No, I'm here.
I want to piggyback on what Bebe was talking about in terms of, obviously kids don't play on the playgrounds anymore because they don't have to. Everything's indoors. What do you think of the culture of Georgetown basketball right now? We obviously won the Big East this year, made to the NCAAs. I don't know if you guys watched the game yesterday, but the only assessment I'll make of the game is Colorado was playing against the ghost of Georgetown. They clearly were, I think, more locked in. There was a lot of energy around the Hoyas because of what they accomplished. And then obviously Coach Ewing is, people really want to see him do well as we do. What do you feel about the culture right now? Basketball in general or Georgetown specific? I'll leave it up to you.
Well, first thing I want to give a shout out to them in regards to them getting where they got to, and everybody that didn't feel that they was going to get that far. You started out in the last place ranking and finished at the top. But as you know, basketball is unpredictable. But the way that Colorado came out, you can see that they weren't missing nothing, and that took a lot out of the Hoyas, because all them 3-point bombs, and you ain't got time to get out, set up on them, and that lead jumped too fast. You had one of them with 5 3-pointers and one of them with 5-5 matching them. So that's a hell of a thing to try to chase. And they got out in front of them too much, and they had to chase to try to get back in the game. So either way you look at it, if they shooting like that, they'll be hard to beat even if Georgetown was playing.
Right.
Because it looked like it was just their day, the way they came out. And Georgetown had to come out and try to get their step in a rhythm in which they never got into. They made some mistakes, and most of their mistakes was costly. But as far as the university and the team, I think that they don't made a big difference and a big jump because they don't went to the NCAAs. Now they got some money coming in. That's the difference. When you don't win, you ain't got nothing to show for. So Pat now is putting them in a position where come next year, hopefully they'll do better than this year. And that's one of the things you look at, guys that left there and the guys that stayed, they knew in their mind Georgetown would amount to what they did. So I always got confidence in them, regardless good, bad, or indifferent. And I'm for them. As you can see, I never was on those Zoom calls. So my environment always been there. And I want to reach out to Steve Ariel and for the stuff he do in our community. They work with me dealing with the community. They Sherson, the church, boys club, because when it was open to the tickets, they made sure the kids in the neighborhood had tickets. And that's the stuff that I'm speaking of as the learning part of with the guys interacting with the former players as well as the people in the communities, reach out in the communities, can bring it back, to the communities, the university. Remember, all this is in the city when we was there, so you couldn't get around not meeting us or dealing with us. And that's part, I think, too, where let them guys know when they come here, they want it and appreciate it. Not that, they don't want to speak or have a different, perception when they meet you. You can't be scared to meet people and interact with them. So that's one thing that I think that, they'll get better with. And it's just like, I just won't talk to people that if you ain't from the university. And, we have to open up too as players to get them a chance too. So it got to be two-sided. And like I said, when I first got on here, you got players you don't even know. You never met. They don't know your name. Only way they know your name because somebody might have mentioned it. But now we to the point where that should feel free for them guys to come on. Ain't nobody looking for nothing from nobody. No. Checking like too many people ain't got shit anyway. You gotta look at that too.
Right. So you feel good about where the team is right now, but you're gonna be there regardless, because that's how I feel. I'm gonna be there regardless.
Yeah.
Right.
But they're in a good place because, like I said, you got a core there now with the ones that stand and the ones that I think they still can stay if they choose to, due to the virus. But if they don't, you still got the guys coming in that can really be the backbone to what you need with the big man. Then you get a good rebounder, and you put with the stuff you got now, because all of them look like they playing better with more confidence. So that's one thing.
Baby, can you unmute, baby?
Well, can you hear me?
Yeah, I want to hear what you think about what you guys established and passed on to us, and then fast forwarded to where they're at right now, and the state of the program, and your feelings. Yeah.
Well, like I was saying, with us in the 70s, the culture was different.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's when everybody was, after the 60s, everybody is black pals, so much black love and all this stuff going on. So Big John came around in a nice time where a lot of guys that he played against who knew him personally trust him with their players. So everybody wanted to help the black coach be successful. Now it's all about money. AAU programs, college basketball, high school basketball. You got all these academies. You got all, guy buy a house and open up a school, and then he got a academy, making money off of basketball team leagues. It's all about money now. Patrick's in a great situation now because now he's back on the national scene. Now, people in the ESPN and all the social media and all the interviews on Dan Patrick and all these places, he got no excuse not to go out there and get the number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4 guy. He can go sit in their living room now because if they didn't know him before, they know him now. So now it's on Patrick. It's on Patrick to go ahead and keep doing what he's doing and build off this and understand that, the DMV got a lot of guys. Get out here, grab some of these guys and take them in the gym. Like we used to be in that gym 4 hours a day during the summer and just go ahead and put the work in and you'll be okay. You don't always got to get top 10, top 20, top 30. Because like Craig used to say, I don't care what he ranked. When he come here, babe, they all go better. Bring all them number 1s and the number 3s and the number 4s. We don't care what the number is. When we get through with them, you know what happened when Sky got him. We went up there in New York. We played Long Island Luther, number 1 in the country. When Craig got through with those guys up there, they said, whoa, who is that? Matter of fact, they was calling him Bad New Bombs. They said, the New York guys said, when I went to camp, they was like, oh man, bad news, because Nicky Bonds was running the drug game. He said, man, Bad New Bonds must have come through here. They couldn't believe it. I mean, we went to Dunbar, we went up there and beat them. They was like, who the hell beat Long Island Luther? They ain't lost a game in their gym in 6 years. You know what I mean? So I mean, it's like anything else. We got enough players, you, Lonnie, the Hancocks, the Eric Smiths, and all these guys, the Ed Spriggs. Come on, man. Grab some of them guys, bring them in the gym and give them a bed to sleep, 3 meals, some weights. Like Chris Muller said, they asked Chris Muller, what was the weight room? He said, man, we never saw a weight room. He said all the coach did was, they said, Coach, where the weight room? He said, he rolled the ball and said, that's the weight room. Because you got guys that already can play. You know what I'm saying? So Patrick's in a situation now, when he go to New York, he go to Michigan, he go to Oklahoma, he go to Salt. They know who he is now. He ain't got to go back there. Georgetown coach, NCAA, he's good to go now. Yeah.
What would be a recipe for you? Because for me, I think Georgetown should always have a DMV spirit. Like right. It's just, again, it's because that's kind of the backbone.
Yeah.
It's changed so much with the influx of AAU running everything.
Correct.
And like you said, it's all about the money. How do we show up doing better in DC?
Well, it's going to have to start with Patrick. He's running the show. Big John has passed away. It's on Patrick. It's what Patrick want to do.
Right.
We can start doing alumni games again. We can have functions. We can get on the Zooms. It's like everybody, it's ready. It's right here. Everybody's ready. You know what I mean? And once, we used to be a big family from the 70s all the way up to the 90s and 2000s, start kind of breaking up into now. Now it's time for us to all get back together because DC, if you don't know somebody knows somebody who knows somebody. So it's all love. It starts with the history. They got to start promoting the history. You know what I mean? I know you got Allen Iverson, you got Patrick, you got Alonzo, you got Dikembe, who they always pumping for the media because they're the bigs, but you got guys here that loves you, that loves Lonnie. And Lonnie can know somebody's son who's an All-American, just like we was All-Americans coming to Georgetown. Georgetown really, when you look at it, for me and Craig, and it really had no whole lot to offer.
Well, I said
there wasn't no TV deal, it wasn't no money, wasn't nothing.
I say it all the time. It's not like Georgetown was built to be a basketball power.
Yeah, you go. Yeah, they wasn't no basketball power. So I mean, we took the chance, we took the risk, and Patrick got to understand now it's his time because now all these kids know him. He can get in the living rooms now, and once they come and they see the family type of situation, boom. If I was a high school dad and I had a kid, I would say, I want you to pick 5 guys for me to talk to from your program.
Right.
and I'm gonna pick 5. And you give me 10 numbers. You give me 10 numbers to call, because I'm gonna pick 5 and you pick 5, and I'm gonna call and say, what do you think about coach? That's what I would do. So I mean, Patrick is right there. Everybody loves him and this and that and that. So it's up to him to understand to come on through DC now and grab some of these guys. You know what I mean? Stop letting Michigan and this and that and that and that steal all your bread and butter, Villanova and all that. I like Jay Wright. I like Villanova. I visited him. We had I don't know if you remember the Hearn brothers, Steve Lincoln and Hearn brothers.
Yeah.
They was DC guys. That's who started off Villanova. Everybody come here and start. Notre Dame, Adrian Downey, Duck Williams,
Tom Sluby.
That's who started off Notre Dame. We can go on and on and on.
Johnny Dawkins start off Duke.
Johnny Dawkins, well, they had somebody, Mike Krzyzewski,
But yeah,
Tommy Amica from Virginia, whose mother went to Dunbar. His mom grew up on like K Street, somewhere near Dunbar, and his dad and all them, they DC, you know, they went to Virginia. But Tommy Amica used to come over certain quarters and number 2 boys club with
but he went to Mackin, right? Did he go to Mackin? Did he go to Mackin? Where did Tommy go?
Tommy Amica?
Yeah, where did he go to school?
No, I think he went to Woodson or I think it was Woodson or Red Jenkins was his coach in Virginia.
Okay.
Red Jenkins, but he played with Kissinger on the AAU team.
Mhm.
So they used to come over number 2 boys club, and we would walk through certain quarter all the time. We talked back in the 80s when the Urban Coalition was at, this is 70s, was at Gonzaga.
Mm.
So they, would watch the games. We go over certain quarters, stop at the ice cream cut, get some stuff, and go back, walk over there. So Tommy teased me about that all the time. You know what I mean? He said, "Babe, they don't know I was coming through certain quarters." He had to be about 12 or 13 years old at the time.
Wow.
Tommy Amica, right?
Wow.
But like I say, he showed love all the time. You know what I mean? So him and those guys was down there. And Brian, same thing with Davis. The Davis boys, a local kid.
Mhm.
So DC and DMV was down there too.
I want you to touch on something, because I was talking to Chris Wright, and he took a hit on himself and Austin Freeman, and he said because they didn't get drafted, he thought that hurt the program in the DMV. And I want you to compare that to you and Craig getting drafted. How important was that?
Well, them not getting drafted, the program took a hit because a lot of people felt that definitely Freeman was a pro going through the door. I got phone calls on him when he signed with the door. They was like, "Oh man, he a pro." And Chris was great too. A lot of people felt they never got better, that they should have been better as they coming out and all that, right? That was the little hit that they took, that Georgetown don't get guys better anymore. That was the word. Man, they used to get better as everybody got better coming through, but all of a sudden, nobody was getting better. And so the pro scouts and the coaches, when I would talk to them, they were like, "Man, what's going on with Georgetown? Guys ain't getting better no more." You know what I mean? I was like, "Well, they ain't playing during the summer like we used to." Things like that. Now, when it came to me and Craig, it was me. Steve Martin was the only one they found out had that. Coach Thompson didn't even have ESPN. So he had ESPN. So Steve Martin was the first one that had cable. And we went over his apartment to watch the draft, right? Me, Craig, Miss Finland, and Big John, right? So a lot of people don't understand one of the most important parts of Georgetown basketball was in 1980, when they stand up there and they say, Utah Jazz with the 19th pick takes John Duren Georgetown, or Atlanta with the 31 pick takes Craig Shelton, because it allowed Coach Thompson to also go out and say that he can get guys to the pros. Don't matter that we're supposed to be a small school, you still get the exposure. Because that's what he used to run into when he would go to other guys that was going to the pros. They say, "Why go to Georgetown? They don't have a TV deal. and they don't have any pros. How you gonna make the pros with no TV deal? So he got me and Craig and Lonnie got the TV deal, and then once me and Craig got drafted, that's how he was able to go up to Patrick and solidify that. Hey man, you come here, you can still make the pros.
I'm checking because I think Craig went 25 or something. I don't want him to run up on you in DC. He ain't go 31. He went higher than 31.
He went second round. So
he went second round, but I think he went like 28 or something.
29, something like that.
But I don't want him to run up on you because you said 31.
Oh man, big guy ain't run up on me, man. Craig know what time it is with me, man.
All right.
And we were there on a funny story, right? We went down Mr. Jabbo's house. We stayed down there for a week. Me, Craig, and Mr. Jabbo. And it's down. He had a house, big house down in this one he was in Williamsburg. We went there. Matter of fact, we caught the bus down there. We in the pros, so we go there and we got so bored. Yeah. First of all, a lot of people don't. Mr. Jabbo was a professional fighter. Did you know that?
Did not know that.
He was ranked 7th in the world. He was supposed to fight Joe Louis, and they found he had a kidney problem, something like that. But he was a heavyweight. He was a heavyweight local champ and was ranked number 1 in the world, right? So, make a long story short, we seen these boxing gloves. Me and Craig was in the garage. We were so bored, right? But we didn't want to leave. That's our guy. We go over to Busch Gardens and all that. So we saw these gloves. So me and him put the gloves on. We started boxing. So we in there rumbling. And Mr. Jabbo, he all this noise. He was, hey, what's going on? He said, hey, what y'all doing? Like, oh, Mr. Jabbo, we just boxed. He said, man, y'all take them gloves. Take them gloves. Y'all ain't trying to kill each other. This shit was funny. He said, all right, Mr. Jabbo. Man, we sweating, soaking wet. We were so bored. I mean, we in there running. We started off, okay, we just do it. We're not going to hit hard. Then once I think I slipped up, went on his chin. He hit his shoulder, hit his chin. He come back with a bolo. Boom, boom. And then we rumbling. And we all in on the boxes and all that.
All right. I'm gonna wind this down. I'm gonna end with Lonnie. Right, end with Lonnie. I appreciate you, babe. I love you, boy. Put you on mute. Lonnie, bring us home. You gotta go off of mute, Lonnie.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, baby. I ain't got no questions for you. I just want you to take us home. Any last words, any positive affirmations that you want to leave us with? Because again, like I said, I'm gonna say it again and again. You two are Georgetown basketball for me. To me, you represent so much. You represent the city. It was just an honor. It's just a pleasure to have you on. And like I said, I love you both and thank you so much. And for the record, Bebe, let Bebe know Big Sky went number 28. Just so you know. Yeah, 28 in Atlanta. So yeah, Lonnie, bring us home, baby.
All right.
Shut this down.
First thing, I want to thank you for having me on and thank Malcolm. But I want to really thank the guys that came through Georgetown in my time and era to meet them and still have a relationship with them. And I also want to thank my sister and my family in our time of grief and my nephew passing. And just had the prayers wrapped out for the family. Yes, sir. And like I said before, man, keep doing what you're doing, no matter what. And I don't know next time I'll be on your damn show.
I ain't gonna have y'all back on. That's it. I just needed you one time. I'm good.
Okay. I'll just make sure.
All right, baby. Y'all be safe.
All right, thank you.
Whoa.
Oh, Markham's back. What's up, Markham? Wrap us up.
I appreciate. First of all, I just got to say, baby, what you doing? You about to go rob somebody? You gonna put a mask over your face? Come on, man. I really appreciate you guys coming on. I've been asking for a long time, and it was worth it. From day one, I wanted you guys on together. And Lonnie, I can tell you this, I know our audience. It's been a learning curve, but this is, Gene always says, oh, this is my favorite show. This is one of our best shows without question. And if we never do another show, what you said about us helping each other and looking out for each other, I'd be happy to run that week after week. If we never do another show, I'm good with that today. I always tease Bebe about how I would post him up because he old now. He don't want to see me with this footwork. That's my guy though. That's my guy though. And I always give him trash about how he's a bum. But I know that's what he said about him being drafted, being a real jumping off point is absolutely true. And I can't thank you guys enough. And I really appreciate what you said, Lonnie, about us keeping on doing it, and the work we're doing with the Hoya Hoop alumni means a lot coming from you because you were there at the beginning. And I've always been told I have an old soul, and I'm just grateful to hear those words from you. Really appreciate it, and thank you.
Okay, thank you too.
Thank you, man. I got an earring for you.
You can't hear you. Can he hear you?
No, we don't want to hear. We don't want to hear. He ain't got nothing good to say. We don't want to hear.
Hey, thank y'all again, man.
Blessings,
All right,
man.
fellas.
Blessings.
All right, y'all take care. All right.